With the recently concluded controversial 2024 Paris Olympics, certain sport events will not return for the next Olympic Games, which will be held in Los Angeles in 2028. The most significant of the events that will not be part of the 2028 LA Olympics will be boxing. Why? That will be our topic on this episode of
4DRecord.
The 2024 Paris Olympics made a lot of fuzz and buzz, as it made a lot of controversies. From the opening ceremony, where the Christian faith was being mocked by having drag queens portrayed the famous painting of the Last Supper, up to the individual sport events, specifically in boxing. Controversies did not evade the said international sporting events. In boxing, where a contender for the women's division, who was disqualified by a boxing governing body in 2023 in India, was allowed to fight in the ring. The problem was that the so-called women, because there are two of them, were actually men, as declared by the IBA, or International Boxing Association. During their mandatory blood testing, IBA found out that the two, namely Imani Khalif of Algeria and Len Yuting of Taiwan, have XY chromosomes, which mean that both are male.
Our problem is that we have two blood exams with karyotype of male. This is the answer from laboratory. It's not my answer. It's the answer from laboratory. Very talented boxer. She is very good. I respect her. But as doctor, I need to protect the woman's category. Let's say that the medical result, blood result, looks and say the laboratories that this boxer is male. This boxer is male. This boxer is male.
And truly both were dominant in women's boxing, in which Imani Khalif grabbed the gold. These controversies and what's surrounding it seems to be the factors that might be considered in the next Olympics. The IOC, or the International Olympic Committee, the international non-governmental sports governing body of the modern Olympic Games, has issues with the IBA. In this news from Lexington Herald Leaders, it states, the IOC has not formally removed boxing from the 2028 Los Angeles Games, but without a current global governing body for the sport, it is in danger of being left out of the next Summer Olympics. Up until 2020, the International Boxing Association was the governing body responsible for overseeing regulations involving qualifications and competition within the Olympics. However, due to allegations of corruption and failures to implement reforms around governance and finance, the IOC stripped the IBA of recognition in 2023. Why did the IOC remove IBA from being the boxing organizer? According to this article from Unilad, in a statement released in May, the IOC wrote, the IOC has taken note of the decision by the International Boxing Association, or IBA, with regard to prize money. As always, with the IBA, it is unclear where the money is coming from. This total lack of financial transparency was exactly one of the reasons why the IOC withdrew its recognition of the IBA. The IBA was not prepared to transparently explain the sources of its financing or to explain its full financial dependency at the time on a single state-owned company, Gazprom. The IOC went on to explain that it was these exact issues that omitted the IBA from being involved with the qualification for or the organization of the boxing tournament at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics and the Paris 2024 Games. For this reason, boxing may not be part of the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics if the International Olympic Committee or IOC fails to find a new international boxing body by 2025. IOC President Thomas Bach said on Friday that a decision on including boxing in the next games will need to be made by next year, that is 2025. This is an article from the Philippine Star Life. But that issue has a much deeper reason as to why the IOC has to look for another boxing governing body. In this article from Inside the Games, it says, as expected, Omar Krimlev welcomed his counterpart's announcement that he would not renew his term as chair of the International Olympic Committee and the organization would hold elections in 2025. He says, I am happy that Thomas Bach, the current chair of the International Olympic Committee or IOC, heard the voice of common sense and will step down. Enough is enough. He had his chance to bring something good into the world of sports, but he failed. Now it's high time a new strong leader is in a position to lead Olympic movement. That's according to the statement made by Krimlev as published in the IBA's official website on Monday. Krimlev is the president of the International Boxing Association on stepping down of Thomas Bach. Tension between the IBA, formerly AIBA, and the IOC began long before Krimlev's presidency. But relations between the two organizations have only worsened since the IBA was stripped of Olympic recognition over financial transparency and governance at the IBA last year. However, the IOC forgot to remove the IBA from the Olympic Charter until the IOC 143 session, which took place on 23rd of July 2024 in Paris. According to Krimlev, as for the IBA, we will continue to provide the best conditions for our boxers worldwide and will keep working hard to ensure that our sport is thriving. We are open to establish communication with a new IOC leader as soon as they are elected for the sake of our boxers and the sport's Olympic future. The Russian official has already criticized Bach on several occasions. In December 2023, he said that Thomas Bach holds a position he doesn't deserve and that athletes are treated like slaves. In July 2024, Krimlev called for Bach's resignation in an open letter to IOC members. On August 2, Krimlev called Bach and his team corrupt and undermining the Olympic family after the gender role in women's boxing at Paris 2024. He also criticized Bach for the Paris 2024 opening ceremony and the mismanagement of the Olympic movement, in which the IOC does not give money back to athletes who earn billions for the organization. Krimlev also insists that the leadership of the IOC should be elected by the stakeholders, the NOCs or National Olympic Committees and international federations, and not by the elite group of IOC members. Krimlev added, honesty and transparency always win over corruption and avidity. In this crisis situation, the climax of which happened in Paris, it's high time that we cleaned the Olympic movement from the wrongdoings, as we have managed to do with the IBA from the past of AIBA. I reiterate that our organization has never had any problems with the Olympic movement, but with its current leadership, I am looking forward to a new future of the Olympic movement. In a statement published on the IBA website, the organization reiterated that the IBA is the only organization capable of taking a position to support any future program, and mocked World Boxing's bid to run Olympic boxing. They had no chance unless the IOC was willing to breach their own rules. IBA, in turn, has everything to be recognized. The only reason why it is not happening is political or personal vindictiveness towards IBA from the IOC leadership. That's according to his statement. Finally, the IBA urged the national federations not to be afraid and to remain strong. The statement concluded there is no secret that the NOCs, or the National Olympic Committees across the globe, are being driven by the IOC, applying pressure on the respective national federations and threatening to cut them off financially. There are no alternatives to IBA in terms of its opportunities and investments in the sport. So there is a deeper reason, conflict between the current leadership of the IOC and the IBA in terms of the event in boxing. Boxing will not be available in the next Olympic, which will be held in LA. That will be on 2028. So what do you think? Just leave a comment and don't forget to like this video and to subscribe to this channel. Until next time, goodbye.